If you hear me mucking up, then that's because I haven't exactly practiced this, so don't judge me, alright? This is my first time. So this is me, Shayboy BRNX, making my first voiceover. This is the story of the lore of the Loudson, my own Loudhouse creepypasta. So before we get into the lore, I just want to do some recapping on most of the references. So some of you probably know about Marco Antonio, who created GB Mario, but apparently GB Mario's first appearance was on Friday Night Funkin' and not on an actual game. So I figured, since I'm not the only one making a creepypasta that was based off cover that I made, like from a few days earlier, where I made a Too Slow cover where Lori the Loudson plays the role of Sonic.exe. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. I'm reading this by the way. I have a little novel, a little short novel about the Loudson, but I'm just gonna break it down a little bit. Probably not. I'm not really good at this. So it all started in an afternoon where Lori was heading home after a long year at Fairway University. As she drives her way down to Franklin Avenue, she finds a smooth road all the way when suddenly she bumped into something. She didn't see it, so she jumped in fear as she thought she probably hit a speed bump and went too fast. She hit the brakes, and then suddenly she went out the car, hopefully thinking it was a speed bump. Instead, it was actually the remains of a possum. She almost retched at that point. She covered her mouth in disgust and fear, when suddenly, as she looked up from the bloody scene, she sees a dark figure staring at her. She tried getting a closer glimpse, but then something distracted her. A pigeon just distracted her. Since it was silence, that silence was broken by the pigeon's appearance. And then as she tried to look back at the dark figure, it was gone. Distracted and confused, Lori went back in her car and pretended nothing ever happened. As she went home, she was greeted by a soldier's welcome. Her whole family were thrilled to see her back again, but after what happened, Lori didn't exactly feel like the welcoming was welcoming. She went upstairs to her room and face planted herself on her bed. Later that night, she wakes up to feel that something was watching her. She probably thought it was just her dream gone wrong. She looked around and she tried looking through her bedroom door, she tried looking through her closet door, but then she started looking out her window outside, and then she found the figure again. She couldn't tell if it was the same figure as last time, but that's when she turned around off of her attention. That was when the figure popped right in front of her. She jumped in fear, and then after doing so, she picked up her composure and started raging at the figure. The figure, Eliza, that's what Lori decided to call her later on. Eliza it was actually not only just the figure stalking Lori, but it was also her inner voice. If you remember an episode where, what's it called? I'm pretty sure it's called, hang on, I'm looking it up now. Sorry. Yeah, that's what it's called. According to another episode on the Loud House called Change of Heart, where Clyde was learning how to act normal around Lori, she was discovering that Clyde was beginning to be warmed up with Lenny as she was teaching Clyde how to act normal around Lori. That was when her inner voice kicked in. Her inner voice was telling her that Clyde likes Lenny now, but she only assumed that because that was not long after they realized that Lori had it all wrong. She discovered that Clyde was actually learning to be normal around her, so as she did, she was fighting over her inner voice at that time. So the inner voice returned and cleared up everything. Lori then understood. Yeah, I'm not gonna be like that one guy. I mean, he's fine. If you know that one guy who's made other Loud House creepypastas, like Surprise Birthday Birthday Surprise or ABC Catastrophe, the Shadow Reader, he's cool and all, but I'm not really more of the, no, that is actually a lie. I am more of the voice impression kind of guy, but not for this, not for now. So, yeah, after Eliza and Lori cleared up their business, Lori went back to bed and went back to sleep, knowing that everything was going to be okay. As she woke up, she was about to prepare herself to get ready to go to the mall. But then as she was walking out of her door, she was interrupted when a classic Glad wrap, when a classic plastic wrap prank was pulled on Lori by her younger sister, Luann, the family prankster. Lori was engulfed by anger and ran after Luann, but as Luann was running, she diverted Lynn's attention. Lynn Jr., the family athlete, she diverted Lynn's attention to Lori, thinking that Lori was going to be playing football with her. And in that case, Lynn thought she was playing around. So Lynn went to tackle Lori. As this happened, Lori fell backwards onto her younger sister Lola's princess ride. She chipped the window, which then after that, Lola was engulfed by the same rage Lori had on Luann. And then after that, Lori beat Lori to a pulp. A few hours later, Lori woke up and noticed that it was nighttime. Technically, that was a whole day ruined. She went back in her room, shoved her face up her bed, and apparently, yeah, that would have been embarrassing if that were me anyways. Then, after a while, Eliza came back. Eliza was trying to, she was trying to figure out what happened with Lori. I mean, which is weird because Lori didn't find the fact that Eliza should have known this because she's Lori's inner voice. But in the situation Lori was in, she really didn't care. She just answered anyways. It's that her whole day was ruined and she just felt that she wanted time by herself. That was when Eliza agreed. Eliza agreed she needed to be alone. That she needed her family out in a different way. As Eliza was explaining in sort of a darker perspective of the situation, Lori was a little hesitant at that point, but at that case she was just so tired. She went back to bed and went back to sleep. But instead, she had a nightmare in which she was taunted by her sisters, thinking that Lori wasn't exactly part of anything in their lives. And that was when she turned to a much larger version of Lincoln, Lori's only brother, where then Lincoln was playing her like a puppet. Lori then woke up after this, and well, Lori wasn't very happy after that. She woke up and she woke up and gasped for air, as if like she was coming from a bottomless ocean. She sighs and tries to make a day to herself. Hopefully without any interruption from her siblings, she quickly heads to the mall and can't help but notice her grandfather, Albert. He welcomes her in open arms while him and the other residents from Sunset Canyon were jogging around the mall, because how old people like to get their cardio. After a few hours of straight shopping and suddenly meeting up with her boyfriend Bobby, she runs into Albert again, getting post-exercise flippies. They walk to the escalator, but as Albert makes to the escalator first, Lori suddenly feels like her mind turned off. Her pupils shrunk, her eyes widened, her breath stalled, and her heart literally ceased from beating. But at some point, she was able to walk towards Albert. As he got on the escalator, she raised her hand to his back and pushes him forward. Albert falls face first, and during the process injuring himself and a few others that were also on the escalator going down with him. After that, Lori then woke up and gasped for air again, like she did earlier that morning. She realized what she'd done, and Albert and a few others were quickly transported to the hospital. Lori was stressed out from what happened and drove home. She quickly opened the door and got an immediate growling from her mother, Rita, as she popped out. Apparently, according to Rita, she saw what happened on the news. Most witnesses said that she pushed Albert down on purpose, but Lori tried to confront that, saying that she would never do that to her own grandfather. But Rita didn't listen to her, because she wasn't exactly selling it according to the evidence that was found in that scene. Lori, her mother, and her father drove straight to the hospital to check on Albert to see if he was okay. But apparently they got news from the doctor saying that Albert died in the ambulance. Then Rita trembled in tears, and all she could feel was Lynn's constant comfort that really didn't work. Lori tried comforting her mother as well, but Rita was clearly mad at the point. Mad at the situation, mad at his death, mad at her.